Hey yo, this is Dillio coming to you with another video, and in this video we're going to do a synth bassline shootout. And what this is going to be is that you're going to hear a similar preset that I designed on all four of them. And even though I designed it and I designed it on all four of them, they're all going to have their own certain things you're going to notice between all of these. So this is going to be a synthesizer bassline shootout. So let's talk about the four synthesizers that we have. The four synthesizers that we have are the Behringer Model D. We got the Chord MS2000, still have that here. MS2000. And I also have the Sub 37, which is my favorite analog synthesizer. And we also have Native Instruments Massive as well. Now the list can go on and on as far as plugins and instruments and stuff like that. But I just wanted to keep things simple just so I can illustrate the differences that are in between these different devices that I have here hooked up. So I have them all MIDI hooked up. So the first sound you're going to hear is the Model D. All right, so that's the Model D. Now this is the MS2000. Okay, so that's the MS2000. Now this is the Sub 37. Funky. And now Massive with my preset from my preset library Khemikals, which is available on DillioTTK.com. Let's bring it up octave. Even that has some bite. You're already hearing the differences in between them. So let's talk about what's going on here between all of them. Now the first one is the Model D. So if I would hold a note, let's just do a test. So I'm going to hold one note, and we're just going to listen to it and talk about what it sounds like. So this is the first note. That's the Model D. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit of slight coursing in it because all the knobs are analog. So you can't get quite a perfect kind of sound. You're going to hear it move a little bit. So you examples. Let's go to the MS2000. This is the MS2000. You don't hear much of a coursing effect. You hear a little bit. You hear a little bit of it. Right, you hear a little bit of that kind of detuning a little bit, but not a lot. And it's very pristine in my opinion. A little bit brighter, but if we go to the Model D again, you really hear it. If you listen closely, you have to really listen to the harmonics going on. I know it may be kind of hard to hear unless you got like some monitors. But there's that little flaw that adds flavor. Here's the Sub 37. You can kind of hear that. But you could also kind of hear that in the MS2000. Here's Massive. Now we're not going to hear it in this one. Right, so you're not going to hear much of that movement, but it's that movement that kind of gives it a little bit of flavor. So for instance, if I were to detune one of the oscillators, so let's break down what an oscillator is, because each one of these synthesizers has oscillators. The Model D has 3 oscillators. The MS2000 has 2 oscillators, right? The Sub 37 has 3 oscillators. And also the Massive has 3 oscillators as well. And so let's listen to what happens when I detune an oscillator. So this is the Model D by itself without too much detuning. Remember, it's difficult to get it perfectly intact because it's not a digitally controlled parameter. It doesn't mean that you can go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's that gap in between 1 and 2. So let's listen. So if I were to detune the oscillator a little bit, let me play it a little bit higher. So So if I want a little bit wetter, and those are just two oscillators working against each other. You have three on here. But now let me bring it back. Let me bring it back in the tune. We're pretty close there. Oh, I just love that. All right, let's hear that on the MS-2000. Right? It's got its own smoothness. Now, it's not as colorful, but it's still a strong sound. Now let's hear that on the Sub 37. Ooh. Now here on that Sub 37, I love it because you got that percussion, and this Sub 37 was before they redid it, because they got the subsequent and they redid the whole key bed and everything. So there is a more up-to-date version of the Sub 37 that gives you that. And I like being able to get that percussion, like how a bassist plays, you know. Right? And same thing with Massive. Now Massive is just ruthless. A lot more brightness in it, a lot more harsher a little bit. It's hard to get that percussion. Even if I wanted to go back to the Model D. Now keep in mind that everything's not leveled perfectly. I didn't multi-track absolutely everything. So this one may sound a little louder than the other. Try to focus more on the timbre of the sound instead of the volume of the sound. I try to meter it as close as I could. That's the M2000 Chord right here. But one of the things I love about that Sub 37, like a I think the thing about the Sub 37 to me is that it has some bite. It has attack for when you want attack, but not so much attack that it's a pop. You got a little bit of the bite to it, but it's smooth. Now on the Model D, I think that's about as bright as I can get it. But even if it's brighter, notice how the filter sounds different. And that's another thing about all these synthesizers. It's that each synthesizer has its own filtering capabilities. And that filter, I'm sorry, I know that microphone's been hitting my beard the whole time, so I'm moving it out the way. But the filter capabilities, this is based off the original Moog ladder filter. This has a ladder filter on here, but it's more refined. And then Massive has filters on it, which I believe they based on it, but don't quote me on that. You can let me know in the comments what you think about that. But even that still has probably a mimic of a ladder filter. And then I believe Chord probably modeled their filter after the MS-20. That's what I'm thinking on the Chord side. So let's see here. But I mean, on that 37, I like, when I play live with the Sub 37, I like to. I like to just, it's like how a bass player will pop a string, and that's how I kind of like, I try to imitate that energy, that attitude. So before we wrap this up, I got a sequence that I have, and we're just gonna go through the 4 of them, and it's on Studio One. I have Studio One controlling everything for all of those. So I'm just gonna play a little loop that I did. It's just a little bass line that I did, and we're just gonna listen to the differences. Here we go. That's the Model D. Okay, MS-2000. See, a little bit brighter, a little bit more mid. Still a lot of low. Here comes the Sub 37. That percussion. I love that percussion. It's like a guitarist. Massive. Broad, strong, not as percussive. Coming back to the Model D. Smooth with some color on it. A little bit of detuning going on there. Because you have to, it's an analog device, it's not digital. MS-2000 again, pristine. Crisp, not too much harshness, but just right there. But that's Sub 37. I think I'm just biased. Here's Sub 37. So those are the 4 there. But before I go, I just want to show you the filters, because filters dealing with sound design and synthesizers are pretty much everything when you're designing sounds or when you're hearing sounds. We're just going to do a few filter sweeps and listen to how they react. So let's start off with the Model D. I'm gonna open the filter all the way up, and I'm gonna close it. A lot going on there. That's another bass sound. Right? Now let's go to the MS-2000. Now the MS-2000, I have to reach over here. And I believe the filter is right here. All digitally controlled. Still some movement there. You let the low hang long enough. And I can close it all the way up. Add a little bit of resonance. Pretty cool. Let's go to the Sub 37, which I'm biased. That ladder, that Moog ladder filter with the 24 dB range on it. Smooth. Okay. Now let's go to massive. See, it's so aggressive, right? And that can come in handy. Filter closed. But with all that harmonic and all the energy, it enables you to freak it out more and filter more and do more things to it. That's why it's good to have a nice broad sound and then do subtractive synthesis, which is one more key term. I want to say that. On all 4 of these synthesizers, we're doing subtractive synthesis, because we are taking all that sound and then shaping it. We're taking off stuff to create a different sound. But that little bass sound right there on that Model D. That sounds really good. All right. Yeah, so that is definitely something I want to check out in the future. If you like this type of content, let me know in the comments just below. Which one did you like the most? Which one would you have liked to see in the shootout? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace out.
Dillio on the track.